Hi folks, Van Prepper here. This is going to be the next video in in my series on the Constitution and specifically the Bill of Rights and how simply they are worded and how badly twisted and um, out of their proper meaning they are taken today. I mean, we have politicians and judges and officials at every level that go out of their way to try to concoct a meaning out of this beyond the very obvious and simple meanings. And today we're going to take a look at the Fourth Amendment. And as we always do, we're going to look at what the actual wording of the amendment is. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. This is in complete being violated every second of every day by government agencies at every level, specifically and most egregiously by the NSA, the National Security Agency. If you are unaware of this, if you live under a rock, they are privy to every single phone call, every single text message, email, anything, any communication of any type electronically that they can get their hands on, they have their hands on. This isn't just Edward Snowden. There are people at every level that have said the same thing. And there's a reason that I believe it's in Utah. They are building the largest data storing facility in the history of the planet by far, because they are looking at every single communication you make, I make. The reason I don't worry about making these videos on YouTube is because it doesn't matter what I do. They are checking out every single thing you do, not just the National Security Agency, but at every level. And this is violated so badly. Okay, just because emails and text messages and phone calls were not in place when this was written does not somehow exclude them from being what part of what do people think or judges think that being secure in your person, that means I can't be stopped for no reason and harassed and searched and then have a charge trumped up because they find something that they had no logical or probable cause to stop me and check me out for. We had a guy in New York State that was pulled over because he had a broken tail light, and when asked by the officer if he had any weapons in the car, he said, "Yes, I have a 9mm handgun." It was he had a legal carry concealed permit. The officer couldn't, he took the handgun and had zero probable cause at that point. Once he established that this guy legally could be in possession of that handgun, to open that magazine up, zero probable cause. But what he did was pop that handgun open, counted the rounds, found out he had more than 7 rounds in there. The guy subsequently, he was arrested. They have changed the charges about 20 times on this poor guy because they can't, they're just trying to make it look like anything other than what it was an officer who grossly overstepped his bounds. And he ended up losing his handgun permit. The judge rescinded it over nothing. There was no reason. And a judge just threw out that whole 7-round garbage anyway. I mean, it's nonsense. That guy, I'm not an anti-cop guy, but police officers are badly trained in that they do not understand what is probable cause and is not. And mostly because judges don't know what probable cause is and what is not. So persons, houses, okay, papers back then were letters that were written from one person to another. Those communications, they would have, if the Constitution were written today, it would have said texts, emails, personal communications of any sort. Any judge that can't understand that, and clearly they can't, because the case of the NSA data mining thing has been brought before judges numerous times, and they continue to say, "Well, I don't think this is in violation of the Constitution." Well, then you should probably go get your money back for your law license, because you're an idiot and you don't know how to read a simply written document. And there's a reason that this is in place. One of my pet peeves is when I hear people complain, such and such got off because of a technicality. It's not a technicality, okay? if somebody is protected by these rights, they are protected by these rights, and they're protected by these rights for good reason. If we allowed somebody who is guilty, or we think, oh, these facts show he's guilty, but, because the officers collecting the data violated his Fourth Amendment rights or some other right during the case, and the guy got off, or the woman got off, that is not a technicality. These rights exist for a reason, because once you chuck those things and say, well, as long as the facts prove the case, then you have officers who can enter your house, plant anything. And I am not an please. I know this video right now is sounding like I'm an anti-cop. I am not. But it is not a technicality if officers of the law, agents of the government, fail to abide by somebody's constitutional rights. That is not a technicality that they're getting off on. That is a bad job by the person doing the investigating, the arresting, whatever it was, and prosecuting. And I'm sorry. We have these rules for a reason, to protect me. I would rather see 1,000 guilty people go free than one innocent person go to jail because they were railroaded. What more terrible crime could there be than somebody who has done nothing to become the victim of a vindictive and a government bearing a vendetta against them that plants evidence or whatever? These things exist for a reason. So we need to be, the Fourth Amendment protects us, and it should darn well protect us against, in our personal communications, via text message, via email. And the argument I keep hearing is, well, other people can look at them and, it's out there for common. Well, who cares if it's out there for common use? The government doesn't have any right to be poking around in my business. The Constitution does not protect me from other people poking around in my private business. It protects me from the government and agents thereof from poking around in my private business. So that is my Fourth Amendment rant. That is what the Fourth Amendment means. And the one very troubling thing about this is the part that talks about without probable cause and without warrants. And we have a government now, and this is not just the Obama administration, because it started under the Bush administration and probably started long before that. We all were afraid after 9/11, and we gave in to this stupid Patriot Act that is such a clear and disgusting violation of our rights. And we need to stand up not just for the rights of those that we agree with, but we need to be standing up for the rights of those that we don't agree with, because they have the same rights that we do. Okay? So it's important that we recognize that. It's important that we recognize that as American citizens, we're not each other's enemies. We can disagree with each other wholeheartedly on things. But I'm not somebody's enemy just because I'm on a different side of the political fence than them. So, one of the scary things is I just started to talk about is that we have a government that is mining your data with zero probable cause. They don't have to go before a judge. They don't have to get a warrant. They just mine everything. And they're just fishing for something. And they can, listen, who amongst us is so squeaky clean that if somebody goes through everything, they can't find some violation of the law? I mean, that's just how it works. That's reality. And we can't put ourselves under that kind of scrutiny without probable cause and without a warrant. And we have to stand up for those things. That was my Fourth Amendment rant. Turned out to be more of a rant than an education on the Fourth Amendment. But take a look at the Fourth Amendment yourself. I'm Van Prepper. Happy shooting.